Hi there, gang. Welcome to the Our Stress-Free Wedding TV show. For the record, that is 2 for 2. No, 3 for 3.
3 for
Of
3.
saying it right. We have evolved from podcast because more people are watching it than listening to it.
Well, didn't podcast originate from the iPod? At least that was that's what I think.
Are we going history here?
Kind of, right? Because they didn't really come around until the iPod was released, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So now we are TV celebrities.
Yeah.
Our tens of fans, which is your mom, my wife. And like 8 other people.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Andrew's mom. Thanks for watching. Andrew's mom, for those of you that are watching, very first show we did, and it was a short promo,
yeah.
Right? And she sent me a really nice note, and she's like, "Great show. Andrew should talk more." Okay. Go.
It's like the moms that call or talk to the coach. Why is it my son or daughter playing?
Why is it my little angel playing? Well, so we have got a great show today, and I want to get to it soon, but first, this is neat. So we have been talking now for a couple episodes about an opportunity that was presented to us a number of weeks ago for doing our very first Our Stress-Free Wedding show. And this is cool. So now we have evolved to the point where we can actually tell you the Our Stress-Free Wedding show is scheduled for November 20th. So it is the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, hosting it at the Waterloo Convention Center. We had them on a previous episode. They just did a $1 million renovation.
It's huge. You should see this play. Go back and watch it. Don and Nora were on it. They were awesome. Well, Nora was awesome. Don just nodded and smiled. Kidding, Don, because Don watches these.
Oh yeah,
I love you, Don. But yeah, it's amazing. And our goal is somewhere between like 40 to 60 different vendors at the show. And the neat thing is they are all going to be part of the Our Stress-Free Wedding platform. And the reason that we're doing this has actually been a goal of ours since the inception of putting Our Stress-Free Wedding together, is we wanted to kind of grow to the point where we can do Our Stress-Free Wedding shows as a vendor exclusive, OSFW exclusive show. And the reason that we want to do that is if you're planning a wedding now, you've probably been to a wedding show. I think of one bride that worked with us with Alto Entertainment years ago. We saw her at like 7 different wedding shows. It was just her thing. Like she show after show after show after show. And when you go to a typical wedding show, you are so overwhelmed and inundated with everybody hitting you with all this information and all this extra stimulus and just it's kind of like walking down the strip in Vegas without the open cocktail rule. And one of the things that runs through couples' minds all the time at a normal wedding show is the gosh, I hope they don't suck factor. And we talk about that a lot on this show is, gosh, I hope they don't suck. Because when you're researching photographers and DJs and venues and caterers and party buses and wedding planners and all of the key things that are part of your big day, you don't know, and you're not supposed to know. I mean, think about that. When you first get engaged, this is one of the reasons why we started the platform. You instantly have to become an expert, in quotes, in planning what is literally the biggest day of your life, right? And so when you're looking at wedding shows, when you're looking through Facebook, when you're looking, when you're Googling different vendors, when you're searching there, anybody can build a nice website. Anybody can build a nice Facebook page. Anybody at a typical wedding show that has no pre-qualifiers can show up, wear nice clothes, and say nice things for 3 hours. And you don't know their quality beyond what they're telling you. And of course, they're going to tell you, I'm the best, naturally.
Yeah.
What we're doing with Our Stress-Free Wedding, and this is something that we do on the platform, if you're not aware of that, every vendor that you find at OurStressFreeWedding.com, every wedding professional that you find has been pre-qualified, has been, to use an industry term, vetted. We have done the research on them. We have dived into their reviews. We have had one-on-one conversations with every pro that's on the platform. And we don't even really talk about, equipment. Like if you're talking to a DJ or you're talking to a photographer, I honestly, I don't care as much about the hardware. I care about the heart. What I care about when I'm researching vendors to be on the platform, I am looking for their heart, for why they love what they do. It's not just a Saturday paycheck. It's not just an easy way to make money. It is knowing that you are working with somebody that you are going to impact their lives literally for the rest of their lives. You know, this is day one. Your wedding day is such a huge day. This is day one, and they're going to look back. You know, you're going to look back on your wedding day 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. It doesn't matter, and you're going to remember your amazing day. Now, you might not remember, what the silverware looked like. You might not remember what the decorations were. I've been married coming up on 20 years. God help me. I do not remember what the bridesmaids' dresses look like. Not a clue. I don't remember the colors. But I do remember whether or not you had a good time, and you will always remember that. So that's why, for example, your DJ is so important. Or you look back 20 years. Think of any couples that you know right now that have been married, let's say 3 years or longer. Next time you go to their house, look and see if any of their wedding pictures are still displayed. And in a lot of cases, you will find they are not. And the reason they are not, if you ask them, they will tell you they regretted the choice in the photographer that they made. It was a snap choice. It was their cousin. It was their friend. I got this friend from college. It's got a great camera. Blah, blah, blah.
Balling on a budget, yeah.
Exactly. So finding the right photographer to capture those moments is something that you will want to display forever. But it's the right photographer that makes the difference. And that's what our Stress-Free Wedding does, is that we do the research to find those kind of photographers. And there's different styles. There's kind of the more portrait style, there's studio style, there's more of the kind of the free spirit in the moment style. There's a variety of different styles, but finding the photographer with the heart, with the dedication, with the focus, those are the pictures that you are going to display for the rest of your lives. Videographer, we had Jake Buss from Marathon Videography on not too long ago, and he had a great way of putting it, is that the photographer captures the moment, the videographer tells the story. And I was at a wedding, one that I DJ'd last week, and they had a videographer, and it was a single individual with one camera. So really nothing more than a guest with a more fancy camera. That's all it was. Contrast that to our buddy Jake at Marathon Videography. He uses, 4 or 5 different cameras?
I think plus a GoPro. I think he has a drone as well.
Mm-hmm. So he's capturing every moment. And during your wedding, during your reception, you are in the middle of this craziness of energy and love and celebration, and you really miss a lot of the peripheral stuff. Because you can't see everything. So the videographer captures all of those moments. So when you go back and you watch the amazing work that someone of Jake's caliber at Marathon Videography does, it's almost like you get to relive your wedding from outside yourself, and see yourself in the moments, but see your guests celebrating and see your family celebrating and see all of these amazing moments that you will not see in the moment at your wedding. So finding the right vendors is the key. So the wedding show is coming up November 20th at the Waterloo Convention Center. It is going to be an Our Stress-Free Wedding vendor exclusive show. It is going to be absolutely incredible. Details will be coming soon on our Facebook page. Details will be coming soon. We're actually going to be creating a new Facebook page dedicated to the wedding show. We'll be able to you'll be able to pre-register here in the next few weeks. We will do an announcement on that, so you're all up to speed on everything. But we wanted to kind of start telling you right now, write down that date. It's going to be a really cool show. I am super excited.
I'm excited too.
Speaking of super excited, we've got an awesome guest on today. We've got Carolyn from CM Planning Company. And Carolyn, hi, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to chat with you guys.
I am so thrilled to have you here. So Carolyn is a dedicated, certified, professional wedding and event planner. And this is awesome. So, we were talking a little bit before the show, and we're gonna get into this in a little bit more detail as our conversation goes on. But this, to me, is a big deal, because certified professional wedding planners in Iowa is really not a big thing. That's very unfortunate. I think what has happened is over the years there has been too many well-intentioned family members. Aunt Betty. We always pick on Bob. Today we're going to pick on Betty. Aunt Betty, I planned my wedding in 1984. I can do it. And what Aunt Betty ends up doing is reliving her wedding vicariously through the bride, not taking anything into account of the bride, and Aunt Betty not having any experience working with, all of the other vendors, all of the other moving parts as part of a wedding. So you, Carolyn, as a certified wedding coordinator, you're the central hub to the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So on wedding days, I am basically the point of contact for everybody involved in the wedding, from the bride, the groom, their family, the wedding party, all the vendors, any guests, anything that comes up. I'm almost like I act as a barrier between the couple and we'll say the outside world.
That is a great way to put it.
The couple should never have to worry about anything on their wedding day. You don't want the bride with her phone in her hand waiting for her vendor to call her because her florist is running late so she can't put together her centerpieces or anything like that. So just being that point of contact, so that way the couple has nothing to worry about and their day is truly as stress-free as possible. And they can just focus on their wedding day, because it really does go by so fast. And they really should just be able to soak it all in, and having a wedding coordinator is the way to go for that.
That is so right. And we are going to dive. That is a great opening, because that is exactly where we want to go on this show, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into all that. But let's back up a little bit. Tell me, how did you get started? What attracted you to this world?
Sure. So a little bit about my background. I got my degree in event management from Iowa State University. So I am a Cyclone for life. They have, I want to say it's still the only event management degree program in Iowa, or at least it was when I went there. I always said that I actually never wanted to get into weddings. So if you're familiar with Iowa State and their event department program, there's a whole class offered on weddings. And coincidentally, I didn't take it because I thought, I never want to get into weddings. So follow graduation. I graduated December of 2019, so months before the entire world shut down.
Right. I heard rumors something happened in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do now. I knew I still wanted to do events. I had shadowed a company down in Tennessee. They were really great. I shadowed 2 of their planners on a wedding that they were doing for a weekend. And I was like, wait a minute, I love the wedding world. Obviously I'd been to weddings, but like seeing it and kind of being on, the behind the curtain of, putting it on and being there through the entire day, I was like, I love this. I love the idea of the day of coordination. So I did more research, was looking into it. And I finally it was probably about last summer, got very serious about weddings and was doing more research and looking for companies hiring, everything like that. I couldn't find anyone hiring for exactly what I wanted to do, which was mostly day of coordination. A lot of companies were looking for full-on planners, which I love doing full planning for couples, but I really like the day of coordination aspect. And like I said, I just couldn't find anyone hiring for it. So I said, okay, well, I have the degree in event management. I have my certifications as a certified wedding planner and certified wedding designer. I'm going to start my own company. And I literally, with, most people, when you think of like starting a company, like you need so much experience and all this money, and being service-based, I was able to make a website, file for an LLC, and it was like I woke up and I was a business owner. And it hasn't been easy, but it's been amazing. The day that I filed for my LLC, I booked my first client, and it's just all been uphill from there. It's been really, 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 really great.
Downhill from it. It's been better from there, is what you're saying, is it?
Yeah. It's been really great. There are some things that, come up and you're like, there are days that it's harder than others, but I love what I do, and I'm so thankful that I get to help so many couples on their big day.
I love it. So I'm curious, when you were shadowing with that other company to start with, and you went to those first couple weddings. So you initially, like you said, you originally were thinking more event planning, not so much wedding planning. What clicked? What is it that when you got into the wedding side of it, or when you started to see the wedding side of it? What clicked? What changed? What made you realize that, ooh, weddings?
I think it was just seeing the love in the air, seeing these two people on the biggest day of their lives, these two people coming together as one and marrying their best friends, marrying each other, and just having being a part of like something so huge. It was like, I obviously, these couples were in Tennessee, had never met them before this day,
Sure.
and was there on their day, and was watching them do their vows, and I was like getting goosebumps, and I was like, I think I could do this. I love this. So that was, I think it was just being there and seeing those little moments.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's so true. It's because every wedding is unique like that, and every wedding is a celebration. One of the things that we train like our DJs with Alto Entertainment is that there is a level of energy at every wedding, and it can be way up here, and it can be just a crazy dance. Well, contrast like the weddings that I did this weekend and the one that you did this weekend.
Yeah.
You had a very, very happy bride, very, very happy couple. She had a very successful reception. Nobody danced. Or not a lot of people. You did not have a crazy, out of control dance floor, but a bride that was just happy as hell because that was the vibe, that was the energy level for her reception, right?
At the same time, they expected about 100 people. I think half of them showed up. I think there was something with COVID in there. But within those 50 people, you had a wide range of, the older folks to the little kids. And I don't know. They just sometimes you just don't get a dancing crowd.
No, but it's the energy. It's finding that level of celebrating. There's been plenty of weddings over the years that I've done where they've told me flat out, we're not dancers.
Yeah.
Okay. And they just want, they just want to celebrate. They want to talk. They want to reconnect. So there's that energy level, and that's kind of, I think that's awesome, Carolyn. That you kind of you found that, you felt that, you found that vibe of that celebration that couples have, and you don't have to know them. They don't have to be direct friends. It's working with them and building that relationship with them. Especially now as you are more and more into the industry. You do end up building relationships with them, so you get to know who they are beyond just the wedding part, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of my clients I've gotten to know fairly well. I had a client recently that they found out they were going to have a baby, and I was one of the first people that they told. So just getting to be there through those special moments. I had a client send me a mug with a little note that said, "Thank you for all you do." And then, I'm also a bride to be myself. So we can talk about that later in my perspective on being a vendor and a bride. But she just sent me a mug, and it was like a hand with a ring, and it just said, "Thank you for all you do. Make sure, don't forget that you are also, planning your wedding, and make sure that you're taking in that spotlight of, being engaged." So I definitely love building those relationships with clients and being there for all their big moments, even past their wedding, and staying in touch with them.
I love it. I love it. So one of the things you had mentioned is that you are fully certified through the Bridal Society, which is a national organization. Explain that. I think that's very important, because there's a big difference between people that say, "I'm a wedding planner." Like, really? Why? Well, I've done like 3 weddings. Okay. As opposed to someone like you who has the actual qualifications from the Bridal Society. Explain who the Bridal Society is, what they do, and how you go about that certification process.
Sure. Yeah. So they are, as you mentioned, they are a national organization. They are actually the leading wedding planning certification program in the world. So there are several other, options that you can take. There's several companies that offer the certification, but the Bridal Society is the leading program in the world. I found them through a student organization for weddings through my grad school, and went online, looked into them, and you just register online. And then they send you, you go through a certification program. So it's different courses online. I think it adds up to about 60 hours of training.
So what are some of the
Mixture.
different courses that you take through them? What do they
Sure.
focus on?
Yeah, so there's everything from creating a day of timeline, which they partner with Timeline Genius. So that is a program and software that I offer to all of my clients. They focus on tablecloths and why you should use, you can't put a rectangular tablecloth on a circular table, which people, you laugh, but people have tried to do it.
Sure.
And it just doesn't work for obvious reasons. They go through how to price your packages, how to put together your packages, what your brides are looking for, what's going to be, some common asked questions for them, how to work with other vendors, anything that you would really need to know. But I mean, kind of how you started it, you mentioned that a lot of people will just, they'll plan their own wedding and then go out and, proclaim themselves as a wedding planner. And it can be frustrating to people like myself as a certified wedding planner who have the qualifications, the backgrounds, I can put that, comma CWP after my name, certified wedding planner. And, Shannon, who planned her wedding, and all of a sudden this is, what she wants to do. And she's going to charge people $300-400 to plan their wedding.
Right.
And it takes so much time, there's so much that goes into it, and someone that's certified and they're charging thousands, and then there's clients that come and say, oh well, so and so is going to do it for this much, so I'm going to go with her. And it's like, okay, I wish you the best, let me know how it goes. I look forward to hearing about that.
I've got this roommate that totally planned our sorority parties. I'm like, oh, no,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think all vendors get it, DJs, where it's like, oh, well, my friend makes really great playlists and he's just going to plug in his phone, or, my cousin does really great photography, so she's going to bring her camera. And it's
Right.
just, there's ways that you can save money, but skimping out on certified professional vendors is not recommended.
Right.
It's not going to end well for anybody, but yeah.
No, that is so true. And I remember a consultation I had with a bride. This is a number of years ago, and she brought her best friend in the whole wide world, according to the best friend. She is the best friend in the whole wide world, and she's going to be her wedding planner. And one of the things, and this is something we have said many times at this show, and I've said millions of times over the years, it's crazy to me that instantly when a couple gets engaged, suddenly they have to become experts in the planning business. I think I said that earlier. And so here comes this bride, and she's got her best friend in the whole wide world, and this bride mistakenly made her wedding planner. And there's levels of mistakes here. The first level is she is giving someone with little to zero experience the most powerful position at a reception beside the bride. All of a sudden, this person with absolutely no, like you had mentioned, dealing with the photographer, dealing with the DJ and the caterer and the venue and the florist and the decorations and all, the gifts. I mean, there's so many things. They're giving this person with no experience all the power. And so during this consultation, I was talking to the bride, and I was explaining to her, how, different options for like their grand entrance, or timelines for, from grand entrance to dinner, from dinner to toast to first dances, just going over basic stuff. And this best friend in the whole wide world was making all of these derogatory noises to everything I said. And so finally, I stopped. I'm like, just out of curiosity, addressing the best friend, how much experience do you have in the wedding planning business? She's like, oh, I totally helped like 3 other friends with their weddings. I'm like, okay, cool. I run an average of 50 weddings a month. So maybe, just maybe, you should let me explain this to the bride, and, maybe you'll learn something from this and stop confusing this person about the biggest day of their lives. And the funny thing is that the best friend in the whole wide world did not like that answer. She stormed out. The bride looked at me and said, "Thank you." You're welcome. So, by having the non-professional, like you said, when they try to, save some money or kind of cut back on that day, cutting out someone as important as you, as that central hub, as the wedding planner, as the coordinator, you are the person that takes on the stress for that bride. You can take all of that weight off of their shoulders. And in my opinion, for a bride, on her, especially on the wedding day, she has 3 jobs. She needs to show up. That's important. She needs to say "I do" at roughly the right time. And again, if you want to mess with your fiance, pause. That's funny. And then you need to be awesome. Those are your 3 jobs. That's it as a bride. And if you have a certified wedding planner, if you have a professional right off your right arm that's there to take care of all the other details, those 3 things will really be your only responsibility, as opposed to worrying about when are toasts, when is dinner, when is first dance. That's your job, right, Carolyn? And you help them out with all of that stuff to alleviate that stress for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like there's a lot that goes into it, and being, that person that takes on everything and is basically like their right hand on their wedding day is very important. And there's a lot of things that a lot of brides are still kind of getting into. Okay, maybe I do need a coordinator, and going, back to your bride and her best friend in the whole wide world. I think that happens a lot. And it can be frustrating as a vendor. And I think it says a lot. So being a day of coordinator myself, so many people are like, "Oh, so you're going to plan your own wedding? Like, are you going to have a coordinator?" Yes, yes. Like I can plan the whole thing. Absolutely. But I will be hiring and paying someone to be there on the day of, because even though I am a professional at it, I don't want to do it on my own day.
Right. 100%.
And you shouldn't, my sisters and my mom are my best friends, and I would never ask them to be, my coordinator or act as a coordinator for the day, because I want those special moments and I always want them there with me. And that's something that I really focus on with my brides, is telling them, you don't want someone from your family, you don't want one of your bridesmaids, because as you're taking pictures and now your bridesmaid is over here on the phone with your florist because they're running late or they can't find the entrance they need to go to, now they're missing those photos with you. So you want to have an outside person that can just be everything and everywhere that you can't be, and you want all those special people still close to you on that day.
Oh, so much. Absolutely. It's the same thing for the couples that say, "Oh, I'm going to have my my cousin be the photographer," or the best man is a DJ. I'm like, okay, do you want them to celebrate with you, or do you want them to be working? Because
Exactly.
it's one or the other.
Yep.
So when you're talking with a bride, and she's kind of on the fence, should I go with a professional? Should I not? Should I just wing it? What are some of the things that you talk to them about, even just kind of in your initial call, your sales pitch, or your initial meeting? How do you kind of approach that with brides?
Sure. So I always ask them a series of questions during our consultation to just get to know them a little bit more. And I actually had a bride the other day. I asked her to tell me about her and her fiance, just tell me their story. And she was like, "No one has asked me this before. Like, no other vendor has asked me like about us. Like, they want all the wedding details, and like that was it." And I was like, "Really? Like, they didn't, nothing?" So just from, that first conversation on, asking them those little questions, I asked the bride, obviously, if her fiance isn't around, to describe her dress. Like, tell me about that. Like, those are the little things that I want to hear about. Something that I focus a lot on is just letting them know that I have the qualifications, I have the experience, and you really want someone with those qualifications, and why. And something that I tell my brides is, you have a lot of things in your life that you get insurance for. You have health insurance, you have car insurance, life insurance. Having a coordinator or a planner is like insurance for your wedding. They
That is
are
great.
they
Yes.
are that, like, they're going to back you up on everything. They're going to be there when you need them the most, even if, you need health insurance, even when you're healthy, because, if something happens, you still have, that insurance to kind of go back to. And having a coordinator is that insurance that you can go back to. Your day could be going so well, and then all of a sudden, something could go wrong, and you have that coordinator there, and they can go through and handle all of that. And having someone that's certified, if you have a baby, you're not going to take your baby to a teacher and say, hey, they've had this cough for a couple days. You're not going to take your car to, a gas station and go in and tell the clerk, hey, like, I've been hearing this weird noise. No, you're going to go to a doctor, you're going to go to a mechanic. You want someone that's certified in what you're doing or your problem area. So if you need a wedding planner, if you need a wedding coordinator, you want to find someone that's certified, that knows what they're doing, because you wouldn't, like I said, you wouldn't take your baby to a teacher. You shouldn't have, your best friend who respectfully has never done a wedding to plan your wedding. So
That is, I love that. That is, let the experts do what the experts know. That is
yep.
crucial. That is awesome. So if you have an attention span as long as mine, you are watching the Our Stress Free Wedding TV show. We are talking to Carolyn from CM Planning Company right now. She's a certified wedding planner. Andrew, if you were someone watching this show for the first time, just you found us on the YouTubes, or you visited the website. It's either at ourstressfreewedding.com or altoentertainment.cc. You can watch the show on either platform. If you were watching this for the first time and you thought, this is information that I should know about, what would you do?
It's cool. YouTube just came out with this thing. It's this little red box that says subscribe on it.
Genius.
And they have these little thumb icons.
So like this one.
It means, hey, I like it.
This direction. So you would like this.
You would hit like and subscribe.
Oh!
Yeah.
You thought this through, didn't you? I see. Genius.
And you can actually turn on notifications, too, to get notified of any new videos that we post.
Whoa.
I know.
So people could actually stay in touch
Uh-huh.
with what's going on at the fastest growing TV show in our office today.
I think it's the only one, but you're not wrong. The fastest.
When you're the only one here, it's easy to say you're number one.
We lock the doors on everyone else, too.
Darn right we do. And you know what though? We have reached the point where we're getting there. We're building a studio.
Yeah.
Mainly because I want to get all this crap out of my office. That is the main reason, because clients will come in and it looks like some kind of weird, we've got a weird set here. We're going to just record this conversation. Have a seat. Make yourself comfortable.
The office next door opened up. Not sure if violence was involved in that, but
None.
it opened up.
Yep.
And we got a pretty good deal on it.
So the funniest, our maintenance guy, who is awesome, and he takes care of all the offices here. The office next door did open up. Funny story about that. What we're waiting on right now, there is a leak in the roof, right? And they've got to fix the leak. The leak drips directly into the sink.
He shoots, he scores.
I'm like, leave it. Well, what do you got to worry about? It goes straight to the sink, doesn't hit the floor.
It takes care of itself.
It's problem solved. So again, that's the little thumbs up thing. And subscribe.
The red box.
The red box. So, and I think it's in the little corner of the screen right now.
Yep.
So you can do that. Go to either ourstressfreewedding.com. If you're already there, great. Hey, welcome to the website. Or altoentertainment.cc. If you're already there, thanks for visiting. We appreciate that as well. We are talking to our buddy Carolyn from CM Planning Company. Now, this is kind of cool. Carolyn is actually based in Chicago. And she does still service into Iowa, because you've got some roots here in Iowa. You went to Iowa State, which I know you said at the top of the show, congratulations, you just cut out 50% of all the fans. All the Hawkeye fans are like, oh, Cyclones for life. Bleh.
We got a university 20 feet from here. Go Panthers.
Go Panthers, right? Then there's me, who doesn't watch college ball at all. This is one of the things I do not understand in Iowa, and I am continually amazed. I truly am. So I'm originally from Minnesota, right now, and I've been in Iowa since '91. So I consider myself an Iowan. But I am always, every day driving, I am blown away by the creativity of especially Hawkeye fans for putting it on their license plate. You see different, how it's got to run out at some point.
Some point.
It just blows my mind. I'm sorry, ADD moment. Hi, Carolyn. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Way too much caffeine already this morning. So talking about certified wedding planning and how important that is. You know, the difference between having a friend or a family member do it where, you know, you want them to enjoy the day, and you brought it up perfectly. Having a certified wedding planner like yourself is the equivalent to having health insurance. You know, you get insurance for your car, you get insurance for your health. You should have insurance for your wedding, and you, as the wedding coordinator, as the wedding planner, and as kind of the pivot person for that day, you are the insurance for that. So let's talk about that side of things. So let's talk about the coordination, like the day of coordination. You know, typically if a bride is doing this on her own, she's going to be worried about, you know, are the venue doors unlocked? Did the caterers show up? Did the cake show up? Who decorated with the cupcakes? You know, who did all of these things? And they're literally gonna miss their wedding. You know, on an emotional level, they're going to be there, you know, physically, but they're going to miss their big day because they're worried about all these things. What do you do to alleviate all of that? How do you help brides with that?
Yeah, so I work with the bride 4 to 6 weeks out from their wedding to kind of get all the information. My favorite way is making a Google Drive folder with everything. I love Google Drive. And having all the information in there, from their timeline to their vendor contact list to their seating chart, anything that they would, you know, that they have put together for their wedding, and having everything in a central location. On the day of, I arrive at whatever time the bride, you know, requests, if they want me there the entire day from, you know, getting ready, hair and makeup, or if it's just 2 hours before ceremony to help with setup, whatever it may be. I arrive, I bring my hefty bag of emergency kit, everything from scissors to Tide pens, extra bobby pins, hairspray, Band-Aids, fishing line. You always have fishing line. You never know when you're going to need it. And it can be used for absolutely anything on a wedding day. Arriving,
never thought of
having, helping with setup. So I have a couple that I'm working with in a month. The mom has sent me pictures of how they want their table set up. They did like a mock-up in their house. So I have those photos. So on the day of, I can go in and pull up that photo and say, okay, this is where they wanted their candles and the floating candles in their vases. This is where they wanted the flower wreaths. So helping with setup. If the bride is very particular or specific about how they want, let's say, their centerpieces, I'll set everything up. I'll snap a photo of the table, and then I'll go find the bride, whether she's getting hair and makeup done or they're doing, you know, some bridal party photos, and saying, hey, this is how I have it set up, you know, basically asking her to approve it without her having to get up and come look at it and anything like that. So just always running things by them.
Sure.
I will be there to get the wedding party set up, basically just being a voice that is not always heard from the wedding party. I have actually, a mom had contacted me and she said, I just need, you know, a voice that they're going to listen to that isn't me, because, you know, everybody knows me, and they're going to be like, the bride's going to be like, okay, mom, like, we get it. Just calm down. You know, it's fine. And, you know, a bride isn't going to tell me to calm down and it's fine, because I'm telling her to calm down and it's fine. So just being that point of contact for all the vendors.
Right.
So when the vendors are getting up or getting there, I'm supervising deliveries. I'm answering questions, letting them know, okay, the DJ needs to be set up in this corner because the venue requires that the speakers face this street behind us, all those little things. And making sure that the wedding party is lined up, ready to get down the aisle, making sure everyone is ready for photos at the right time, keeping, you know, that timeline going and making sure everything is going on time. People are where they need to be when they need to be there. And then, you know, getting through the ceremony, getting through the reception, saying, okay, you know, now it's time to cut the cake. Maybe if the bride and groom are dancing, I'll grab them and say, hey, like, this is when you guys wanted to do the cake. Do you still want to do it now? Do you want to wait till after the song? And just making sure that, kind of just being there, you know, almost like the voice in the back of their mind, like, okay, you know, having knowing that knowing that I have the timeline and, keeping them going and helping their day kind of just go seamless and stress-free.
I love it. So think about this. If you are planning your wedding right now, Carolyn just did a 2-minute, I timed it. You did a 2-minute rundown of a ton of things. I should have kept track of all the things that you actually listed off, from start to finish. 2 minutes worth of a lot of details, right? And each one of those details that you listed off, Carolyn, has probably 10 sub details to it. Getting everybody lined up. That means collecting the bridesmaids, collecting the groomsmen, getting everybody in position, making sure everybody's tie is straight, making sure the dresses look exactly right, making sure their flowers are exactly right. There is a million sub details that go to each one of those, right? So think about this, couples, when you are planning your big day and you're deciding whether or not you should have someone like Carolyn there at your side, or do you want to deal with all of that on top of the pressure of, oh my God, it's my wedding day, which is already going to be huge in your mind. So think of all the things she just listed off. Think of all the subcategories that go with that. Talking about like the DJ and making sure the DJ sets up in the right place, speakers facing the right direction, making sure the DJ is arriving on time, letting them know when that's going to be, making sure the DJ knows when that first dance is going to be, when toasts are, making sure the caterer knows when to have the food out and ready to go, making sure the venue is able to dismiss tables, and if the venue doesn't do it, probably you as the coordinator is going to do it, or have the DJ do it, or whatever. There is all kinds of sub details that are constantly going on at both your ceremony and your reception. And what you're saying, Carolyn, is that your job, in essence, is to get all of those boxes checked, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
And that takes the stress off of that couple's shoulders so you can actually enjoy your day. And you will find such a huge difference between, I've seen brides literally miss their own reception because they're freaking out about, when are we going to do first dances? Well, we've got that. We've gone over that. We've got it all in place. Your DJ, will take care of that. And with the wedding coordinator on top of that, getting everything in place, I'm assuming, you go over all of these details with the couples well in advance of their big day, right? You guys set up, like you had mentioned, like with Timeline Genius, you set up kind of everything in advance, so there aren't any surprises on that couple's day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Timeline Genius is a software that is exactly what it sounds, a timeline genius. And it's similar to Google Docs, where I can share it with the bride, and the bride and the groom can be sitting there. I can be sitting in my home, and we are both editing and adding to that timeline and changing things. And it's all live like Google Docs. So they can be adding in, I can be adding in, and it's just a really easy, great program to use. And we create that timeline together. We can be, over Zoom, and they can have it open and I can have it open, and we're just editing, and everything is in real time. And we, it's not I created and then send it to them to edit or anything like that. So it's like, if the bride wants to add in something very specific, or, they have something that's a tradition in one of their, cultures or nationalities that is going to take a little bit longer, they can add that in. I always provide my brides with a template, so to say. So it'll have the most common things on there, some common timelines as far as, okay, if your ceremony is going to be at this time, and it'll go till about this time, and then cocktail hour here. And then they can take that template, and it is fully customizable down to, the minutes of, okay, at 3:14, send the bride down the aisle. And they can look at some common things, because sometimes people don't think like, okay, let me put in the big moments, but you also want those little moments of, at 12:30, your florist should be arriving at 12:45 is when your bakery is going to come and drop off your cake. So just having everything in that central location, and we make that together, weeks before the wedding, and everything obviously can be changed if needed. And we're always on the same page. And as the coordinator, I always provide that on the day of to the DJ, because if they're going to be making those bigger announcements of, okay, and how you mentioned, tables 1 through 3 can go up to the buffet, or if it's plated or, anything like that, they can say, okay, if everybody, could turn to the dance floor, we're going to do a first dance and then followed by this and this dance. And just making sure that all the other vendors know that I have the timeline. So if they have any questions, they can come to me. I can share that with them prior to let them know, kind of the schedule of events.
Awesome. Yeah, and one of the really nifty things about being part of our stress-free wedding, especially in your position as a coordinator like that, is we have built into the platform a communication hub. So you've got the Timeline Genius, which is great. You guys can work on that in real time. We also have the planning system in place. So when a bride is in her portal for our stress-free wedding, if she's got a question to any of her vendors or to you as the kind of the central person, she can go to you first, message you through our stress-free wedding, and whether or not you're logged in, you will receive a notification. If you're not logged in, if you are logged in, you'll notice it right away. You'll be able to communicate back and forth with the bride about that, and then you can then reach out to any other our stress-free wedding vendors that are part of that bride's big day. So again, tying everybody further into that communication. I mean, the Timeline Genius system is, it speaks to exactly what is really kind of the key to a successful reception and ceremony, let's just say a successful day, and that is communication. Communication is huge. Everybody needs to be on the same page. The Timeline kind of puts everybody on the same page. The communication hub through ourstressfreewedding.com allows kind of that preset of the preview of getting everybody on the same page for that to get everything in place. I mean, that just makes things better for everyone, right? How many times did I say everybody in that sentence? Too many times. That is awesome. So you do you had talked about day of coordinating. So let's talk about like full scale wedding planning with a couple. I have seen way too many, again, well-intentioned people or just not professional people literally come in and make somebody else's wedding theirs. They steamroll it and they superimpose their views, their ideas, their image, their pictures over this couple's day. So if somebody hires you for the whole thing, event planning from beginning to end, how do you work with them to help achieve their vision, keeping their day as the forward part of the whole goal?
Sure. So a lot of it is working directly with the couple. And if they have, a parent that wants to be on a call or two or be at a meeting or two, that they can be, but I will work directly mostly with the couple just to make sure that I'm hearing everything from them. Everything is, going through them, and I'm not, getting mom or Aunt Betty over here telling me, okay, well, we want this. And then I, run it through the bride and she says, no, like that's not what I want. I know that's what my mom wants. Tell her no. And when I actually went through my certification, there was a whole, we'll say, unit about, how to be kind of in the middle of a bride and we'll say her mom. And if, the mom has different planning visions than the bride, and just making sure that you are always working with the couple and making sure that you're getting everything right from them and you're not letting other people kind of be in your ear or anything like that.
Right.
So just working, directly with them is the biggest part of it, and making sure that everything is being run by them. Oftentimes with full planning, I have a client right now. She is very, very busy. She's not really a people person. So I, go through and I talk with vendors before they're ever in contact with her. And I know her visions, and we do a lot of planning on the back end to get ready for those vendor meetings. So I can, come to you and say, hey, Sean, my client is looking for this. They want these songs played. They're looking for this specific, DJ setup or something like that. And I would run through all of that with you. You would say, okay, I can do all of that. And then I'm like, great, let me get with my client and I will put you guys in touch. And she basically only gets in touch with the vendors to sign the contracts. So everything is kind of going through me for this specific bride. Some brides will be in on all the meetings with all the vendors, but they just ask for my preferred vendor list and they just contact each of those vendors first before looking for outside vendors. So it can be a lot. And my full planning packages are, they include a lot and they're a little bit different than my partial planning. And it just depends on, the specific needs of each couple. One of the really great things about owning and operating my own business is if I have a bride that is looking for full planning, but there's, something that isn't in there or they need to take something out, I can fully customize all of my packages. I don't have, someone above me saying, well, these are our packages and this is what we can offer our couples. And that is it. It's not black and white. I can, be in that gray area of, I recently just had a bride take a couple of, the bullet points from my full planning and a couple from my partial planning, and we created a custom package. So I have the luxury of being able to give my couples exactly what they are looking for. And it doesn't have to be black and white. This is it. If it's not this, then it has to be this.
That's awesome. And that's so important too, because there's, like when I talk to couples, I always tell them there's my favorite word in the planning process is ish, ISH. And maybe as a wedding coordinator, you may cringe a little bit on that, but I'm a big fan of, especially when they first get started, they don't know all of the definitive times yet. They don't have a set timeline yet. So I always tell them, use the word ish. Yeah, we're thinking, 4:00 ceremony ish, because their wedding is 2024 and they don't know, exactly yet guest count, or they don't know exactly yet timeline. So, you being able to offer them the ability to, take a set list that you've got in place that works, but then also tailor that to exactly their needs, their wants, their desires, making it their day. And then you executing from that point, I think, is huge. And thank you, by the way, for using the Aunt Betty reference. That's my favorite backup. That is awesome. So, no, but I think that's so important. So, taking all of that, so all of the skills that you have, all the knowledge that you have, you're planning your own wedding during all of this. So
yes.
Tell me, how is that going? What do you notice as the difference? It's usually like for insider people in the business, it's a whole different ballgame. We look at it from a little different point of view. So how goes the wedding planning?
Yeah, so it has been great. We actually, people laugh when I tell them. So we had a whole big wedding planned. It was, a guest count of 150, a beautiful venue, plated, formal dinner. And it was just, as I was getting, into the planning process and talking with my fiance, he was like, I would ask him questions and he didn't really have an opinion for two reasons.
Wait a minute. The groom didn't have an opinion? Wait a minute.
So he is not he basically has no knowledge of the wedding industry, which is totally fine. I feel like 9 times out of 10, a lot of the grooms don't. And they may have some opinions here and there. I mean, for him, so our venue, the two things that he had an opinion on was he wanted caramel apples. So we were going to get married in an apple orchard and he wanted caramel apples as our favor. And they have a little train that goes kind of around the apple tree fields, I guess we'll call them. I don't know what else. And there was a little train that guests could go on during cocktail hour. And he said, I want caramel apples and I want the train. And other than that, he politely was like, I don't care. He's like, whatever you want.
Right.
Do
Smart
what you
guy.
want.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Smart guy.
So had this whole wedding planned, canceled the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
We were he was like this, he's like this, none of it's me. And we kind of just found a middle ground of, okay, it wasn't what he was looking for. I mean, being a wedding planner, I was like, okay, well, I need something big. This is what I do. It's I was going to try to think of a job comparison, but anyway, I was like, well, this is what I do. I have to have something big and beautiful and everything. And he was like, no, you don't. So we decided on very small, just parents and siblings. And we are actually going to do more of an elopement style on a mountaintop in Arizona, which is also taking some planning because We, need to make sure all of our families are there on the day and time, getting hotel rooms for everybody. I have to plan a restaurant or spot to have a dinner after our ceremony. I need to find an officiant, a photographer. So it's still a lot of planning is going into it, and it's just on, a different scale of a regular traditional wedding. And we're very outdoorsy people anyway. He proposed when we were on a hike. So getting married on a mountain was just something that was us.
I like that.
I'm trying to see if I can find us custom hiking boots. So if anyone knows anything, he probably won't watch this, so he won't hear this. But if anyone watching this knows anything, I contacted the North Face and they were like, oh, we're not doing custom orders, but I'm trying to get us custom hiking boots because we have matching hiking boots now, just in different colors. We're that couple. That we really like, and we wear them everywhere. We went on a huge trip to several national parks, so we just love our outdoors and our mountains and our hiking. So we were originally thinking Colorado, but we're getting married in December and it's going to be really cold and snowy there. So he's like,
yep.
Happy medium. Well, what about Arizona? So we decided on Arizona. But that has been my journey of, having pretty much everything for the wedding almost planned. We had our venue booked. We had our DJ, photographer. I bought my dress, and then we just kind of were like, yeah, this, I don't want to say it isn't me. I feel like being, a female woman, you kind of you think about this your whole life, whereas a man often doesn't.
We think of it twice. We think of the day we ask and the day we're supposed to be there, for the record. Twice.
Yeah.
Come on, that's two. You can't expect us guys to do too much. That's two. That's a lot. That's this many.
Yeah. So
that's pushing it.
I know, right?
Yeah, it was so just kind of, looking at, okay, just because it's what I do doesn't mean it's what I have to do,
Right.
For my personal life. Just because I plan people's weddings doesn't mean I need to have a huge wedding.
Right.
So it's been unique, and I love sharing that perspective with my brides because, I'll get calls or emails from my brides and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm having this problem. And I was like, okay, well, calm down. Everything's going to be fine. And then just being able to share with them, okay, I'm also planning, my wedding, and I'm struggling to find, a spot for us for about, 20 people to eat dinner after our ceremony, and having that, perspective of I'm also doing both. So I feel like vendors, if a bride comes to them with something, they're like, okay, well, yeah, we understand. And, we'll try to work on it. And it's like a bride comes to me with a problem and I'm like, no, I understand more so than anyone because I'm also living this with you. So it's definitely something that I like to share with my brides. And we have so many conversations about it. And it gives you that, unique extra connection and kind of, tie to each other of, okay, I tell all my clients at the beginning of their call, I'm like, hi, so nice to meet you. I'm Carolyn. I am your wedding planning BFF for the next however long until your wedding date. And it's so fun.
I think that's awesome. And I love the fact that you guys kind of pivoted away from, the traditional wedding, with the dresses and the formal dinner and the formal dance and all of the stuff. And then you found something that fits the two of you. And I tell couples all the time, because I'll have couples, call me and they'll be stressed out about, music for the ceremony or, grand entrance. And they're always worried about, oh, what's everyone going to think? What song should we pick that everyone's going to like? And my always go-to answer is, it doesn't matter what everyone else is going to think. This is your day.
It's your day.
If you guys are huge Star Wars fans, walk into Star Wars songs. If you're a SpongeBob fan, use that as your grand entrance. It's your moment. Make it your time. So you guys tying in that outdoorsy side of things. The hiking and the mountains and stuff. That is so much more to you than just a typical moment. I think that's awesome. I love that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good luck on finding the boots. And you know what you guys should do, because we were talking before the show. You are one of those insane marathon runners.
I am. Yeah. So I have run 2 so far. I have a bucket list to run the 6 World Marathon Majors, but I've run Chicago twice.
And again, just because I asked Jake the same thing, I think this is an important question to ask people. You weren't being chased with people with bats, right? You did this voluntarily.
Or a bear.
Correct. Yes, I did it
Or a
voluntarily.
bear, since you're a hiker. See, now that I could run a marathon one if a bear was chasing me. And now, but this is cool because you were saying for the marathons, you do it for a great cause, and let's talk about that for just a second because I just think that that's awesome. So tell me about why. What are you running for?
Yeah, so I run as a St. Jude hero. So I run and fundraise for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. They are located in Memphis, Tennessee. I feel like almost everyone in the world knows about St. Jude, but if you don't, they are a hospital. They are a children's hospital. They provide cancer care and treatments, and families are never billed for anything. It's making me a little teary-eyed right now.
I think that's
and
so
there's
awesome.
there's a patient there. His name is Carson, and I've been following his story. He is, I believe, 10 or 11 right now, and he is on his 5th round of his cancer coming back. And I've been following his story for years. And I actually, the last marathon I did, I tore a ligament in my ankle, so I needed surgery. So I have this huge scar on my ankle now from running the marathon. And I actually reached out to Carson's family, and he wrote out the words 26.2, and I'm going to get those words in his handwriting as a tattoo because I run these marathons for St. Jude, and the hospital is a cause so near and dear to my heart. And like I was telling you before the show, I could have a $5 bill in my wallet, and it could be the last $5 I have to my name, and I would give it to that hospital.
I think that is so awesome. In any family dealing with cancer is a horrible challenge. I mean, your dad is a cancer survivor,
Yeah.
Andrew, and that is an absolute blessing and miracle that he is still with you today and is wonderful. And then my wife and I donate to St. Jude's as well. I don't run for it. We would just rather donate because I don't know, 28.6 mile. I don't know if I'd make it
26.2.
yeah, I don't know if I'd make it the 0.2. But it's I can't imagine, especially as a parent, I can't imagine my kids fighting and going through that, and like you making it more personable with Carson, someone that you've actually reached out to, that you've connected with. 10th round of treat. How old is he?
So he is, I want to say he's 10 or 11, but this is his fifth or sixth
okay.
round of, I mean, he's been dealing with it since he was, very, very little. And he's always been at St. Jude, and he's been through so much at such a young age, and to just, want to be a kid and play your video games and cuddle with your dogs. And yeah.
Oh, man. I know it's a bit off topic, but wow. I mean, that's good for you. I think that is absolutely awesome. And it speaks even deeper to your character. And, like our initial conversations, when I think you reached out to us first, actually. But when we talked and just getting to know your heart and your love for what you do in the wedding business is awesome, and your care for the clients that you work with, and the attention to making their day amazing is awesome. And then to take it a step further and find out what you do outside of the wedding industry, voluntarily running for a distance without being chased by people with bats, which again is very important. I think that's beautiful. I think that is awesome, and I wish you the very best in every marathon you do. I think that is outstanding. Does your fiance run too?
He does not.
So he's the smart one. I like that. Okay.
He would run with me if I asked him to. And he was actually in the military, so he's a veteran. So
Okay.
he's done more than 26 miles when he had to, and he'll run with me and we'll work out together. But he doesn't see himself doing any marathons with me.
Well, thank him for his service. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank
We
you for
love
your
our
support.
service people. This has been an awesome conversation, and it's so funny. There is a million things I want to get into more with you. I want to get into actual planning steps and what couples should do, and kind of a timeline of when they should think of getting out their RSVPs and when they should start lining up their venues and their professionals and stuff. We are going to have you back on soon, and let's consider this show. Hey, here's Carolyn.
Absolutely.
Here she is, and here's why you should listen to her. Next show, we're going to get into more of the nuts and bolts for the planning process, and we will get into a little bit more of timing and timelines and organization and more of the technical stuff you do. All right, would you be willing to come back and talk to us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a blog post drafted right now all about, congratulations, you're engaged. Now what do you do? Because for most couples, this is their first wedding, and they kind of are like, okay, well now, I have this wedding to plan and I don't know where to start. So I would definitely love to come back and kind of correlate those two and have the blog kind of, posted right around the time that, our next show will come out, so that everybody, they can kind of listen to it and then they can read the blog as well.
When you post that, tag us, put it on your Facebook page, on your social media, tag us. We will repost it on ours to help get the word out further to people. And of course, if you're watching this show, Andrew,
like and subscribe.
Then you'll know all about this. And Carolyn is someone that you need to listen to. She is an expert in this business, and this is awesome. And neat thing, we had talked at the top of the show, November 20th. It is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. If you are watching this show, you are probably in an area where you could travel into Waterloo, to the Waterloo Convention Center. They just did a multi-million-dollar upgrade. The place is opulent.
There's
cool. My big word for the day. It is opulent. It is absolutely amazing. Their staff, incredible. Their kitchen, fantastic. We are hoping to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 different wedding professionals there, and we're going to have a variety. There'll be a number of DJs, there'll be a number of photographers, because we want you to find your fit. We want, it's not this is the only one that's here, so we might as well go with them. No, I want you to find the fit for you. They're all going to be our stress-free wedding professionals. It is a vendor exclusive show, November 20th. Write it down. You're going to come. If you're watching this show and you're in the wedding industry and you're interested in learning more about joining us at ourstressfreewedding.com, this is kind of neat. We're starting to get now professionals coming to us saying, hey, you guys are the largest platform that I've found so far in the state. I want to be a part of this. I'm like,
that was a small goal of ours when we started, too.
Right. World domination.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's one of the minor goals. So we'll be happy with Iowa. We'll start with that. Awesome. Write that down. Make sure you're a part of that. And as always, please like and subscribe. Carolyn, thank you so much for your time. We will have you back very, very soon. And hey, thank you so much for watching. And you have a stress-free day.